guys, how are we doing? Welcome to Talking Boxing. It is, what is it? December the 15th, Monday, December 15th, to be exact. And great to have you all along. It has obviously been a very emotional 24 hours for everybody. And I know I've had a quick look at the comments, and I know there's a few in there. Look, I'll probably just say off the bat, well, obviously straight away, that obviously condolences to everyone that was affected yesterday. Not just obviously the people involved, but the Australian public in general. It was a tough, as I said, 24 hours, and I know a few of you will have a bit to say, and I'm up for that. I don't want to upset the people who just want to come here and talk boxing, but I'm happy. There's a couple in there. If you want to get out the road, I'm happy to do that. There are a lot of podcasts and YouTube shows happening at the moment where they're having conversations, and that's fine. But I want to try and stick to boxing as much as we can. But again, I just wanted to, just say to not just those affected, but the entire Australian population. I hope you are all doing well out there, and it hasn't been an easy 24 hours. So we'll move on. On the boxing scene or the news, you would have seen this morning I spoke about Tim Tszyu. Got Jeff Fenech sort of distancing himself from Team Tszyu and said, hey, I got nothing to do with it. He's actually gone a step further today and said that he thinks the whole camp is shit, or looks like it's been shit. So I'm not sure he's going to get a call up to Team Tszyu anytime soon, or a welcome into the change room. I think he said he's actually going to watch it from home. We had Sky Nicholson yesterday. We had the Badu Jack fight. We had what do you think of the Diego Pacheco and Sajo fight? I was really disappointed in that. Pacheco, I said this morning again, I'm not really sure of the hype on this guy. But anyway, and of course, the big fight on Wednesday night. Give me your thoughts. What do we think? Of course, we've got Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua this week as well. So let me know your thoughts on that. What else is going on? Well, I suppose that's about it. Then the week after, I think, is the Japanese show in Saudi Arabia, of all places. An all-Japanese show in Saudi Arabia, I think. Is it all Japanese? I'm not sure what it is, but we'll get on with it. All right, guys. Well, let's start the show. Again, if you're not sure how this works and you're new to the show, just put your comments in the chat. Any topic or whatever it is you want to talk about. It's your 2 hours. Let's get the ball rolling. We'll start with Asbot. What do you got there, mate? Johnny Lewis weighed in and advised Tim to pull his head in. Tim was asked about this in an interview today, and Tim agreed. I wonder if Lewis called Tim. Put it on him, or maybe. Again, I mentioned that this morning, Asbot. Yeah, he did say to pull his head in, and just look, he's old school. Johnny Lewis was asked a question, and he just said, well, this is what I think. So good on him. And good on Tim as well, like you say there, to actually say, well, he's probably right. If I lose, my career is over. I wouldn't say it's over, but it would be over at the top level. So you may as well say it's over if he's looking at big fights and world titles and all that sort of stuff. I think he'll get the job done. I think he will. All right. We've got there a Big J. What do you got there, mate? I'll try and find all your comments. You got 3 or 4 in a row there. All out of order as always. All right, Big J. Hey, mate, where to start? Sky has a good win, but nothing to crow home about. She won't get Scotney. She's moving up to 126 after the undisputed fight. Sky could dominate at 122. Yeah, I just sort of differ a bit there, BJ. I thought she actually looked really good. And I know it's probably easy to say the opposition wasn't overly great, but I think she was a 2-time world champion. I think Sky made her look pretty ordinary. Because I'm with you. I've seen her fight before. Avilia, I think her name was. And I expected more. And I thought it would be a competitive fight. But Sky made it look very, very easy, I thought. And again, I said this morning on my walk that her style, it's very dominating. She really takes center ring, looks like she's in charge, really controls the action and what's happening. And I thought she made a 2-time world champion look pretty ordinary. So I was actually pretty impressed with Sky. But I am in agreement with you there. She could dominate at 122. She really could. I can't really see much at 122 to trouble her, if I'm being honest. Scotney, I wasn't aware she was actually moving up to 126. She would be a tough one for Sky. I would probably still back Scotney to beat Sky in that fight. But if she goes up, well, I suppose that's even better for Sky, isn't it? But I was impressed. I really like the way she's really sitting down on her punches now and dominating from center ring instead of trying to get on her bike and do the amateur style of trying to outbox opponents. I think that's what got her into trouble against Tara Brown. Having said that, Tara Brown's a very, very strong woman. So even if she had stood her ground, might have ended badly for her, who knows. But I like the fact that she's taking center ring, really trying to dominate from there, and I think she did a really good job yesterday. So I am crowing. I am crowing home about it. Big J. I thought she looked pretty good. Badu Jack Noel how do you pronounce it? Michelasian or whatever it is. I'm just hopeless with these names. Either way, we'll call him Noel. Is that his real name? Is it Noel Norair or something? Is his official name? I don't know. It was a terrible fight. It was. It looked like a terrible fight. Both should have been disqualified for illegal blows. Jai should have been there to promote the unification fight, but that won't happen. Yeah. I only saw highlights of it, Big J, because I watched the DAZN card. And just like Diego Pacheco, I was not impressed by probably either one of these guys. It was just a spoiling type of fight, scrappy fight. And I think even Badu Jack's actually talking about maybe a trilogy, which I don't really agree with because I thought it was, do we really need a trilogy? I mean, they're one each, I know. Do we want the rubber match? I think we can just call it a day and Badu Jack can maybe if Michelasian plays games or whatever it might be with Jai and goes down a different route or whatever, or there's still Badu Jack that would be a really credible name on Jai Pataya's resume. So maybe if the Michelasian doesn't work out, maybe he could fight Badu Jack in his next defense and then wait for the winner of Benavides and Bivol. Who was it? Benavides and Ramirez, I should say. What's up, Big J? Okay, I don't agree with the Foxtel pulling today's presser. We should not cave to terrorists. All I'll say is that the father and son combo were bloody lucky I wasn't there. RIP to all victims. Yeah, no, you're right, mate. Yeah, I did see they pulled the presser for Foxtel today. Look, I'm with you. We shouldn't cave to terrorists, but I think this is a little bit different in this one, mate. I reckon that if it was just a random type of thing and it was someone just going nuts and just didn't really target anyone in particular and just our way of life and our culture, well, I get that we should continue on just like the US did with 9/11. But in this case, it was actually targeting a specific group of people. And I just think, I tend to agree it might have been a little bit of bad taste to actually have it today. I support No Limit in saying, hey, everyone's pretty emotional today. There's a lot of confused people, upset people, pissed off people. And I sort of back them to maybe say, hey, look, let's maybe put it off until, well, tomorrow's a weigh-in, isn't it? So they'll do the a bit of a presser, I suppose, after that. But I am with you there, mate. We shouldn't cave to terrorists. But as I said, this is a little bit different, I reckon. Father, son, wow. Just amazing that you could brainwash your son to be that hateful. But anyway, all right, we'll move on. Where are you, Tony? I can see you've got a comment there. All right. Looking forward to everyone's thoughts tonight. But please, let's be respectful to each other more than ever. Yep, let's go, Tim and Schneeker. Do us all proud. Love is all. Very well said, Tony. Really appreciate that, mate. And I think you might have commented today. Just on that too, guys. In the last week or two, I've really struggled, barely been able to get the episodes up and on Spotify and everything else. It's been a pretty busy couple of weeks. Doing a lot of hours at the moment in our business. And it's been a little bit hard to respond to everyone's comments. But I did see your comment today, Tony, and I appreciate it, mate. It was didn't really feel the need today to do the walking boxing, but I did it, and it was a good little release just to go for a walk for 25 minutes anyway. So we love yous all. Good stuff there, Tony. Now, I think we had a super chat. There he is, D-Style Boxing. How are you, D-Style? Welcome to the show, mate. Very much appreciate your $2 there, mate. Really, appreciate your support as well. All right. We've got Big J there. Another fight that's probably going under the radar is the Kay Scott rematch against Olivia Curry for the WBC, WBA middleweight titles. If Kay wins, it'll lead to a third fight with Desley Robinson. Yeah, good point, Big J. It's going under the radar, I'll agree. Here's the best way to say it. I'm not counting the days, Big J. I saw the first fight. Hope Kay Scott gets the win. I really do. I hope she wins the belt. I'd love to see the trilogy with Desley Robinson. But am I counting the days down to that fight? I'm not, mate. I see it got a bit of a plug on DAZN yesterday too. The rematch. They made out like it was Mayweather Pacquiao, didn't they? The way they promoted it. But again, good on Kay Scott. She should beat Olivia Curry. She should have won the first fight. I thought that she might have just got over the top of Olivia Curry. But this occasion here, she's had a good look at her. Kay Scott is a much, much better fighter than Olivia Curry, and I would expect her to win this fight comfortably. She should win it comfortably. And how good it would be to set up a unification fight with Desley Robinson for all the belts. And if you think about it, I know you just said, excuse me, Ellie Scottney is going up in weight. But let's just say Ellie Scottney won the 120. Just bear with me here, guys. I'm getting to the point. If Ellie Scottney won the 122-pound undisputed or unified the belt, Sky then beat her, and Desley and Kay fight for the 4 belts, we could have 3 undisputed female world champions. Amazing. Could happen in the space of 6 months. Just crazy. The girls are just killing it at the moment. All right, I'll just try and keep these in order. Where are you, Eminem? How are you there, mate? Welcome to the show. What's your comment there? I've gone past it. All right, about Pedro Diaz. If I can find it. There he is. All right, Eminem says, Pedro Diaz with another world champion in Noel. Is it Michelanian? Well, I'm going to call him Michelanian. It's pronounced or spelt all different ways, by the way. And you've said Noel. Is it Noel or Noel? I'm just going to type in what's on BoxRec. Let's just get this argument out the road, because this is the 3rd way I've seen it spelt today. All right, so on BoxRec, if it'll load properly, and it never does, I'll wait till it comes up. But that is the 3rd different way I've seen it spelt today. What's your comment there? Called it. He'd win. Jack is over the hill with Jill. Yeah, that's a good one there, Eminem. Yeah, again, I'm only seeing highlights. I did actually think, I picked Badu Jack, I'll admit, but I did think Michelanian was a chance to win. But I, as someone said before, I don't think it was really something to write home about. He got the win. Good on him. I don't think he's going to be sending much fear in the way of Ramirez, Opataya, or Benavides, or anyone in the cruiserweight division. But he got the belt. He did actually say today, I did see someone say about that Jai had put a call out to him, and he just said, bring it on. So that's one good thing, I suppose. At least he's in for it. He says he's in for it now. We'll see how he goes when the talks get serious anyway. Yeah, I'm with you there, Eminem. Let's hope we get that unification fight. All right. Where are you, Shadow Boxer? I see you there. All right. All right. Is that the first comment? Was that the first one? No, that was Asbot. Actually said almost exactly the same thing. Gotta love that old school no BS attitude from Johnny Lewis. I like that Tim was humble enough to agree. Yeah, I'm with you there, Shadow Boxer. We got another super chat. Who we got there? Andy. Thanks very much, mate. $10 from Andy, the super chat. Hello, boxing fans, Lyndon, Tara, and chat. Just my small contribution to the appreciation fund. Not hanging because with family, but popped in to say subscribe, share, and smash that like button, folks. Thanks very much, Andy. Really appreciate it, mate. And even if it is for only a couple of minutes, really appreciate you guys and you and everyone else supporting the channel. All right. Where are you, Big J? You got another one, didn't you? I think you had there. I think it was about Jeff Fennick, was it? Yeah, it was. All right. I like Jeff Fennick's attempt to stay in the media despite having nothing to do with Tim's preparation for his fight. Yeah, do you reckon he was feeling a little bit guilty, Big J? Because I've seen his name mentioned, the new team, Mike Altamura, Darcy Ellis, Jeff Fennick. Do you reckon he was sitting at home going, oh, geez, I'm going to have to maybe just make it known that I've really had no say in it? I think he has. I mean, in a smaller type of way. But yeah, I just reckon, a lot of people commenting about Jeff's involvement and what he's done. And as I said, I think he's just got a little bit guilty at home. So I better actually put the record straight. But I've just got a feeling he'll just be used whenever he's needed, whether it be Tim himself or Mike Altamura or a Darcy Ellis. Actually ringing Jeff and say, hey, mate, what do you reckon of this? Do you reckon this is work or that won't work? And we're being told this and being told that, and just getting Jeff's point of view. Who knows? There's been a few people with the conspiracy theory that you might end up in Tim's corner on Wednesday night. I don't think that'll happen, but you never know. I actually think, Jeff, I know this is not a popular opinion, by the way. I think Jeff Fennick would have been a great choice as a trainer for Tim Tszyu. Now, just hear me out here. I know he gets criticised a little bit by a lot of fans out there who say he just tries to turn all his fighters into replicas of him and doesn't do this and doesn't do that. But I would think that if he didn't actually change too much of Tim's style, I mean, he's obviously very vocal about where Tim needs to improve. It's just a few tweaks here and there and a few little adjustments that Pedro Diaz has apparently done. I reckon Jeff could have done it. And probably the main reason I think it would be, or he would be a great fit, apart from making a few tweaks, as I said, Tim is a pretty complete fighter. He's got some flaws, but I would back Jeff to actually iron that out. But the main thing I would love for Jeff to be in Tim's corner is just the motivation, the inspiration, whatever it might be, just someone to get Tim up. Because sometimes I think he's just very laid back, and maybe he needs some time, Jeff Fennick, just to continue to pump the encouragement into Tim and keep him up and keep him motivated in the fight too. I'm talking about. I reckon he could have done it right. I reckon all will be revealed on Wednesday night, but if there's not a lot of drastic things on Wednesday night that we can see from Tim, why couldn't Jeff Fennick have done that? And look, another one I would have backed here in Australia too is, say, an Angelo Hyder or someone like that. Look, I'm jumping the gun here, by the way, because we haven't even seen what Pedro Diaz has done with Tim Tszyu yet. So let's just probably hold judgment. But I'll say I would have thought that Jeff would have been a great choice for Tim Tszyu, and he would have been in Australia. He would have been definitely there by now. He'd be in with Tim at the moment, wouldn't he? Not waiting for his trainer to get here. I think tomorrow morning, isn't it? So, yeah. Anyway, that's just my opinion. All right, where are you? Back to, where is it? Shadowboxer, was it? Drew, where are you, Drew? All right. I really hope that Badu Jack doesn't get a trilogy fight with Michelanian because he believes he's owed one due to the rematch nobody wanted. My fingers are crossed for Jai versus Noel. Or, hang on, is it actually? Yeah. On BoxRec, it is Norair. Norair. And it's not spelt that way either. It's spelled a different way. Oh, no, it is spelled that way. No, there's no Y. But anyway, on BoxRec, it's Norair Michelasian, I think it's pronounced. Anyway, the guy that Badu Jack fought, we'll call him. Yeah, I'm with you, Drew. I don't think Badu Jack deserves a rematch. And just by the way, I know you say there it was a rematch nobody wanted, but I think it was actually mandated by the WBC, so it didn't really have a choice in the matter. I would strongly doubt there would have been a rematch clause in it. You don't really get these type of fights with rematch clauses. Only those massive mega fights that have the rematch clauses in them. Or maybe it's a superstar A side who puts a rematch clause in there against the B side just to cover his ass. And if he does lose, that he's got the option for a return fight straight away. But yeah, I'm with you, mate. Fingers crossed for Jai versus Michelasian, whatever his name is. All right, we're getting to the end of these comments here. Jason James. All right, Jason. All right. You've got 2 comments there, have you? It says continued. I can only see 1 comment there though, James. Oh, no, you are there. Hang on. Let's see if I can find your original comment. That's the second part of it. I'm getting to the end of these mixed up ones. All right. The unification should be happening. What's that? OzBC put up a post. Boxing Central. Okay, now I get it. Put up a post. Tasman Fighters CEO Mick Francis says contracts have been signed for the winner of the Opetaya Shinkara fight to fight the... Where's the next part of it there, mate? You got a part 2. The winner of the WBC Cruiserweight fight next weekend. Hang on. Oh, okay, that was last week. Okay, the unification bout will take place in early 2026. Yeah, well, they're talking about as early as February, I think, Jason, on the Riyadh season card. I would strongly doubt that, considering it'd only be an 8-week turnaround. I would think they'll probably wait till maybe April or May or something like that, I would probably think. I suppose that's still early-ish, isn't it? Up to about April. But I did see that press release from Mick Francis, Jason, and he's pretty confident that, yeah, the contracts have an agreement there, and they will fight in 2026. All right. Where are you, Tony? Tim should have Jeff and Johnny on speed dial. I agree, Tony. I think he can do a lot worse at having those guys on speed dial. I tell you, very, very experienced and knowledgeable. Obviously, the runs are on the board, so yeah, I'm not sure why he wouldn't be reaching out a little bit more. All right, Drew. I know you'll hate this suggestion, but if Tim wins and Nikita loses, I think the next best option is Tim versus Zarafa. I think any gripe Tim has with Michael now would be petty. Yeah. Yeah, look, there's a lot of people that think that might happen, Drew, that if Tim wins and Nikita loses, that he could go down that track. I'm still to be convinced. The only way, in my opinion, the Tim versus Zarafa fight happens, one is if Zarafa beats Nikita. That would probably be the first one. But if Tim, maybe it's not this Wednesday night, but it might be the next fight after that, whatever it might be. If Tim loses again, I think that's it for him at the top level. I think he would then come back to Australia and probably take the Zarafa fight, because that's probably the biggest fight outside of the, those big world title fights he could get. That's the only way I see it happening. I think it's going to be a classic example of just the stars aligning at the right time. Now, at the moment, Zarafa's obviously fighting Nikita, so we'll let them get that out of the road. Tim has still got a little bit of charge left in the battery, if you will, that this is his one last chance. So he's probably on about 1 or 2 bars at the moment, Tim, on the battery. But if he gets past this, it'll go to 3 or 4 and then upwards. If he loses, I would think that'd be throw the battery away. I would think as far as the world level stuff goes. And if the stars align with Michael Zarafa, you could still see that fight. I'm still a little bit doubtful about it, but I do have this sort of feeling in the gut of my stomach, or the pit of my stomach, that it will happen one day. I know I've said in the past I don't think it will. I've just got a feeling that one day it might. It could even be 3 years down the track. I know it'll be way past its due, but that's the only way I can see it happening. If Tim would have to lose a fight for him to come back and fight Zarafa, and Zarafa would have to beat Nikita for those as I said, stars to sort of align and maybe get a possible fight. Still with Drew. I often feel that when an unheralded trainer like Hector Bermudez takes over a Q&A from his fighter, I kind of feel he has low confidence in his fighter's chances and he's trying to lift his own profile. He's been very quiet, hasn't he, Anthony Velasquez? Hector Bermudez has been the opposite. Geez, he really caused a bit of a storm, didn't he, in the first sort of session they did? Was it yesterday or the day before, whatever it was, when he got here? Took shots at Tim, took shots at his team, took shots at his trainer. He did he's done everything to unsettle Tim and his team. That's for sure. He definitely got a reaction from Tim, didn't he? He's an unheralded trainer, but apparently he's had 5 world champions. But I'm with you there, Drew. The fact that he has pretty much pushed Anthony Velasquez to the side and said, "I'll take questions," and even to the point where Anthony Velasquez, when asked a question, he would answer, but very, very unconvincingly, would sort of look at Hector Bermudez to say, well, am I supposed to be saying this, and maybe you should take over? Yeah, it's an interesting... Look, maybe he's just a shy kid. Maybe that's just what it is. A lot of fighters do get a little uncomfortable in front of the camera, so maybe that's it. But I'm with you there, Drew, that it could be Hector Bermudez trying to pump up Velasquez and trying to maybe put a little bit of confidence in him, because it'll be pretty daunting coming to Australia. First time, I think, as far as I know, outside of Australia. The underdog, former world champion. All of a sudden, he's the main event on a big show. Sometimes fighters don't handle that, but yeah, it's... I'm with you there, mate. It does look like he's trying to lift looks like his own profile is trying to lift, but also to put confidence in Velasquez as well. Drew, no, it's Cal. It's a shame people got to pick up guns instead of gloves. Yep, condolences to all. Yeah, really well said there, Cal. Yeah, I think I've had enough to. Well, I haven't talked too much about it, but I think I've said enough. But I'm with you, mate. It's a really good comment. Some people in this world though are cowards, and I think to be a tough guy, they got to, or to make a point, they've got to pick up a gun, which is, yeah, it's hard to get your head around, isn't it? Crazy. All right, still with Drew. Where are you there, mate? Here we go. If Benavides beats Zerto, I'm fearful that he will move back down to light heavyweight to fight the winner of a proposed Bivol Better Beav 3 fight due to their bigger name recognition rather than Jai. Well, that's what will happen, Drew. Yeah, there is a little bit of a spanner in the works for the number 3, though, with Bivol and Better Beav, though. I think Better Beav said the other day that his team have been trying to get the Bivol trilogy fight locked in. But Bivol so far hasn't committed, and he's not really, or doesn't seem that keen to do it. I think the only way probably a third fight happens is if Turkey Al-Sheikh steps in and says, "You guys are going to fight," and there you go. He's the check. But I'm with you there, Drew. I think if Benavides beats Zerto, I think he will go back down. Although, look, it is really hard to, when you go up in weight, to come back down, and not just, I'm not talking one division here. Technically, it is one division, but we're talking 25 pounds. 12 kilograms. So he's going to bulk up. It's not that easy to come down. And even if you do come down, sometimes you're not the same fighter. And you think about it. You put on 12 kilograms, you feel strong and everything else. And then you got to bulk up, and you got to eat up, because even though Benavides does bulk up a lot, or put on a lot of weight in between fights and after weigh-ins, he's still going to have to eat up and probably do some weights and all that sort of stuff to be a really good, strong, fit and healthy 200 pounds. So how do you then come down to 175? It's not like going from 160 to 154. This is different. And we see when, I know it's to another extreme. You remember when Roy Jones Jr. went up and fought Ruiz at heavyweight, won the heavyweight title. I think it was the WBA version, wasn't it? Then went back down to light heavyweight, never the same. He wasn't the same fighter ever again after that fight. He might have beaten Tava, did he? But went back down, and then Tava knocked him out, or whatever it was. I won't go into it now. But I think either way, he wasn't the same fighter after he came back down. And so Benavides has got to be conscious of that. So if he beats Zerto, maybe they've got to make a decision and say, well, all right, well, Bivol and Better Beav are still playing games with each other at 175, or who's going to fight who. That's the only fight there for him, by the way, is the winner of that fight. There's no one else really at 175 for him to fight. So if he does beat Zerto, and Bivol and Better Beav are still going at each other, and maybe, look, they might even have the number 3 fight locked in. Maybe he says, you know what? All of a sudden, Jai Pataya looks pretty appetizing, and let's get this unification fight going, because by that stage, hopefully, Jai would have taken the WBC belt from Michelangelo, and Benavides and him fight in a super fight at the end of 2026. So a lot to play out there. But in theory, he said he's going to move back down. But again, 25 pounds. It's a lot of weight to lose. All right, who was that? I gave him $1. What do you got there, mate? If I can find it here. It's here somewhere. All right. I'm worried about Tim. I don't like the build-up. Yeah, well, it hasn't been ideal, has it, mate? With Pedro Diaz, and then he had his assistant coach from Serbia, I think. He hasn't been able to get a visa to come out here. So all of a sudden, he basically has no team here. I know he's got, well, his chef's going to be in the corner. I don't know who, or the cut man will be the other one. I'm not quite sure who. I did see somewhere actually who his cut man was, but I can't remember who it was. So he's got the cut man and the chef here in Australia with him at the moment, 2 days before the fight. The Serbian the Serbian trainer won't be here, and Pedro Diaz is going to get here, pretty much rush from the airport to the weigh-in, maybe something to eat with Tim, and some last-minute things. Then they're into fight day. So it's not ideal. Now, I did say the other day that I think Tim's professional enough to be able to deal with it. But Jeff Fennick made a good point today, and he would know. He would know better than everyone, especially me, about what goes on. And he did say today he reckons it's madness that the trainer is not here the 10 days before the fight. And it does make sense. If Jeff Fenech says that, well, take it to the bank. That he said it cannot be good for Tim's preparation when you got your trainer. You would have already heard his other trainers not coming. That would have been, well, shit, all right, okay, we're down to 3 now. Cutman will obviously be organised. Pedro Diaz, I'm sure, will be sweating on the plane getting here on time and no delays or no visa issues, nothing like that. So it can't be ideal. But if Jeff Fenech's right, mate, about looking at the pads, I actually think the pads, I thought it looked okay, but after seeing Jeff's comment about Tim on the pad saying, well, I don't see him doing anything different than what he did before, it's a good point. And I must admit, I saw Tim on the pads. I thought, oh, okay, yep. Yeah, he's doing some good things. But then looking back, I looked back at a few of his old training videos, and he's right. It's not that much different. The only thing I have seen that's a little bit different is when he punches now, the emphasis is on getting around to the side, either to the left or to the right, preferably to Tim's right, so he can then attack from the side. So after he punches, not backing straight out in a straight line, it's staying inside, but a new angle around to the side so he can attack again with uppercuts and hooks and whatever it might be. So that's probably the only thing I could see. But as I said earlier, that's something that I'm sure that Jeff would have spotted as well and probably worked on. So look, I'm not getting too far ahead of myself at the moment. Let's give Pedro Diaz an opportunity, and we'll see who's right. But I'm with you there. I gave him $1. It's not the ideal build-up, mate, that's for sure. Eminem. Well, yeah, didn't mind the stand, the Eka card Saturday night from Gatton. Well, I forgot it was even on Eminem. I was at the pub working. The bar's always dead on a Saturday night. Looking for something to watch. Ended up just putting YouTube on. Put some tunes and that on. Didn't even realise it was on Eminem. And I've got Stan on the TV there. So I missed the whole card. So, but look, I didn't see the rest of the card, Eminem. I did see some highlights of David Nyika, and to me, he looked horrible. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I saw, yeah, he did not look impressive at all. I know he's been through a lot, and if you didn't know, his fiance has just been diagnosed with cancer at the end of last year, I think it was. She's been 24 years of age, by the way. So she's been having some issues, so I can maybe understand his mind might have been elsewhere, but yeah, I don't think he looked good. I don't really know. I'll just have a quick look at that card, by the way. Let's see who fought. Now I'm assuming Gatton is New Zealand. Is it Eminem? It's a good nickname, the nice guy. All right, so he beats Wasati Nurlang with a 10-round decision. He's won every round on all 3 cards, but yeah, it wasn't overly impressive. Let's see if I can bring the card up here. And let's see. So we had, Alex Leopold Jr. had a 3rd-round knockout of Caleb Chialu. Okay, well, where's Gatton? That must, Queensland. There it is, Gatton Town or Shire Hall in Queensland. Looked like there was the Melbourne Pavilion on the highlights that I saw. Who else was on there? I don't really recognise anybody else except Alex Leopold Jr. So he had that, yeah, as I said, that 3rd-round knockout. He moves to 7-0-1. David Nyika is now 12-1. So wouldn't mind seeing David Nyika against maybe a Floyd Masson or someone like that. I reckon that'd be a pretty good fight. But I'll maybe check that out, Eminem, if I get time. I doubt it, but we'll see how we go. Glenn. All right. Even you all don't want to comment about Bondi, so boxing it is. Sky had a good win. Liked what I saw. Really liked Tito Mercado. Is a bit special. Great IQ and can punch. Cordina had an excellent win. Yeah, I agree, Glenn. I thought Sky had a really good win, as I said before. Tito Mercado, look, yeah, no, he looked good. He looked good. I'm still to be convinced, though, Glenn. Looks the goods now. I just want to reserve judgment until I probably will see him in there with maybe a top 10 opponent. Who did he fight? Moran or whatever his name was okay, but again, just a journeyman type of fighter. Mercado, yeah, he definitely can punch. Got some good skills, but I'll just reserve my judgment on him. But Cordina, yeah, very, very good win. I was really impressed with Joe Cordina, Glenn. Thought he boxed really well. Flores Jr. was game, had his moments, but I thought Cordina was very impressive in that and got a really good win under his belt. Not sure where he's ranked at the moment. Let's have a quick look. he'll obviously improve after that win yesterday. All right, so is that lightweight? Where are you, Joe? So 15 with the IBF. Not ranked with the WBA. Who do they rank? Because all the best fighters are never ranked. Where is he ranked in? Oh, yeah, number 10 with the WBC. And not ranked with the WBO. I don't get that. But anyway, I'm sure after yesterday's win, he'll be definitely ranked. Excuse me again there. All right. Oh, Adam. Sorry, guys. That went down the wrong hole there. All right, Adam. How are you, Adam? Thoughts on Tim's interviews of late? Is he as confident as he sounds? Yeah, well, I've had a little bit to say about this, Adam. I don't like the interviews that he's done, mainly because it's not him. That's probably my bugbear with what Tim's been saying. Now, I understand he's got to talk it up. I understand he's got to give a lot of interviews. Must be hard coming up with different lines and everything else. Maybe he's got a psychologist, giving him advice on how to speak and terms to use and all that sort of stuff. But it's not him. Tim is, well, he's boring, and that's okay. He's a boring guy. I hope he's not watching and says, what the hell are you talking about? I'm boring. I'm just saying he's a very nonplussed type of guy, very unassuming, very standoffish, I suppose is a good word for him. But I just think what he's trying to do now is almost talk himself into, being the man or being the guy, and he's not. And there's nothing wrong with that. George Cambosa, someone like him, talks it up so well. He's naturally gifted with, with the language that he uses, and he talks it up so well. And even in the fights where he's ended up losing badly, he's made us all tune in because of the way he builds up the fight and does it so well. He's a natural at it. Tim's not, and that's what I think. And I know everyone probably, a lot of people either like it or don't like it. I like the way Jai Opatai goes about it because he's just himself. He doesn't try and be anyone except Jai Opatai, and that's what I like about him. Now, again, I don't know whether No Limit or Main Event or whatever it is or his team are saying, hey, Tim, we've got to get you a little bit more controversial. If they are, I would ask him to stop it because not only does he look very uncomfortable when he's speaking and rolling out these lines, it's not doing him any favours with the fans out there. And again, I said this on one of the episodes in the last few days that a lot of people, it's a lot of negative comments about the way he's been speaking. So if I was him, I'd just take note of that. People loved him for who he is/was. I don't think people want to see Tim as that guy, the mouthpiece. I've been through it with Anthony Mundine. Not that he's like Anthony Mundine, by the way. He was very controversial. Tim's not controversial. But I did say again the other day that people love Jeff Fennick and they love Jai because they're just themselves. They just tell it the way it is. They don't come up with these anecdotes and the hyena comments and all this sort of stuff. I just want Tim to be Tim. Just be yourself. Because he is a really nice guy if you meet him. And I just don't think he needs to come up with all these one-liners. I really don't. Now, actually, having said that, I did watch back the other day one of the interviews he did. And I think the interviewer was sort of goading him along a little bit, trying to get something out of him. But also, I think he was taken back a little bit by the comments of Hector Bermudez. So I sort of get that he was like, hey, and the hyena comments come out and everything else. So I get that as well. But I don't know. It just doesn't suit him to talk the way he's been talking of late. That's all. And there's nothing wrong with just being himself and being unassuming and being standoffish. If that's you, that's you. The Australian public didn't latch on to Tim and take him under the wing and love him as pretty much a national superstar. They didn't take him on because he was reeling out these type of lines. They got behind him because they just loved who he was, what he stood for. Obviously, they loved his dad. They loved the last name and the romance of the whole thing. But they loved what he brought. Just a quiet, unassuming guy who had dynamite in both fists and was bowling people over left, right, and centre. That's what they loved about him. That's why you would never see a negative comment about him. Now I'm seeing 50-50, negative to positive. And I think that comes down to what he's been saying, Adam. So, but he's his own person. He can say what he wants. I'm just saying from an outsider looking in, that's the way I see it anyway. All right, we had a super chat. How are you there, Dennis? Thanks for the $10, mate. Really appreciate it. It all helps. Really appreciate it, mate. Hey, Lynden and chat. I'm also worried about Tim's prep. Seems pretty disjointed to me. With Diaz turning up at the last minute, etc. His interviews also seem a bit off. How do you rate Velasquez? Yeah, we all seem to be in agreement, Dennis, don't we, about his interviews. How do I rate Velasquez? Look, he's a talented, tough young kid, but I don't think he's anywhere near the level that Tim's at now. I mean, the big question is, of course, is what level is Tim at? What level was he at before? I mean, this is the questions that are being asked, and obviously they've got to be asked when you've lost 3 out of 4 fights, and 3 of those being world championship fights. So the questions have to be asked. I mean, the first thing with Velasquez, I would probably say if you've got an A, B, C, D, E type of fighter, I would probably say he's probably a C, C plus, maybe just C, a C level fighter. And that's okay. Tim's coming off those losses. He needs someone like this. But the bigger question is, our biggest question is, how do we rate Tim? I think after he beat Harrison and Mendoza, we all sort of had him in the A category. Obviously, that was wrong. That was a false sort of reading. It was probably more of a B plus level type of fighter, I suppose. But where he's at the moment, you'd have to say he's probably a C plus, B minus, really, is where he's at. And he needs to prove to us that he can be at that A level. And, you know, you got the Boots Ennis's and Virgil Ortiz's. They're the A graders in the division. Sebastian Fundora, yeah, A minors, I would think, for Sebastian Fundora. Who else is in the division? There's a few good ones in there. I'm not getting too carried away with Murtazaliev, by the way. We haven't even seen him since he fought Tim. Tim's had 2 fights since then. He hasn't fought once. I know he's got the Josh Kelly fight coming up. But isn't that hard to get your head around? Murtazaliev absolutely obliterated Tim in, 3 rounds? Hasn't fought since, and Tim's had 2 fights, including a world title fight. And by the time Murtazaliev fights, Tim would have had 3 fights by the time Barkram Murtazaliev has fought again, which is crazy, considering he is the world champion and hasn't had a fight for 15 months or whatever it's been, and Tim's about to have his 3rd. But anyway, all right, so Murtazaliev I would have as a B plus, I would think. The other ones in the division, Barrow, B minus. Fundora, as I said, A minus. Ortiz, A, just an A. Zayos, B, I would think for Zayos. Boots Ennis, A, 100%. Who else is in the division? I should do this on one of my walking boxing episodes, shouldn't I? Rate a division. Maybe in the off season when there's nothing to talk about, I'll maybe bring some of these things out. Give me some other ideas too, there, guys, of things to talk about in my morning walks. Last year I went through my whole career. I can't do that every year. So Keith Thurman, these days, B minus, I would think for Keith. Sergey Boachuk, probably a B. Madrimov, B minus maybe. And that's probably about the only ones worth sort of rating at the moment. So that's where I sort of see those guys. All right. What else have we got there? Yep, no, I think we've covered everything there. Dennis, thanks very much for that, mate. All right. Where is... Oh, I've got Glenn again there. Where are you, Glenn? I'll go back to your comments. Pacheco, God, pretty bloody awful. Slow, poor defense, pushed his punches, little head movement, and average feet. Shiraz would murder him. I agree, Glenn. I was really disappointed in Pacheco. He just looked uninterested. He looked slow. He looked tired. He just got leaned on all night. He didn't do anything to try and combat Sejo being on his chest. Just let him sit there. No sideward movement or pivots, kick-arounds, whatever you might want to call them. Just stood there, let him lean on his chest. Sejo was not a good fighter. He just wasn't a good fighter. I don't know how he managed to get, what fight was, some international or silver title, whatever the hell it was. He is sort of pretty highly ranked, Sejo. I think he was in the top 10 of nearly all the divisions there, wasn't he? He was actually not rated by the IBF, but he was ranked... Oh, no, maybe I've got that wrong. I thought he was ranked by all sanctioning bodies, but he's not. He was 10 with the WBC and 8 with the WBO. I might have missed it there, but what? Oh yeah, 11. Sorry, 11 with the IBF. Yeah, I don't know how he got ranked that high, Glenn, because I don't think he was anything flash either. I think he was pretty much a Timu, Christian, and Billy, really. But Pacheco, really disappointing. Did not even attempt to give him any angles, any range, anything. Didn't mix it up at all. Just stood there, let him land on his chest, head to head, and got himself knocked down in the 8th round, which was a pretty good left hook too, by the way. All right, where are we? I'll keep going there. I think I'm back on track as far as the comments go. Where I'll just make sure here, guys. Sorry, just bear with me. I think I'm there, done that. All right, Big J. I'm officially a Queenslander again. Hey, come on. I've packed my stuff and returned to the motherland. Couldn't put up with those sooky bum Victorians anymore. Is that right, Big J? Well, you may as well stay up there, mate, and stay away from us sooky bum Victorians. Now, I will agree that it's not a bad idea to get out of Victoria at the moment, but don't call us sooky bums, mate. Call us Mexicans or whatever the hell you want to do, but don't call us sooky bums, although we probably are. I think Australians are sooky bums these days, aren't they? Still with Big J. Noel's promoter is Don King, and they'll chase that Jake Paul fight with the backing of the WBC. They want the sanction fees for what would be a $40 million fight easy. I don't agree with $40 million, Big J. I know Jake Paul's involved, and you can probably add a couple of zeros, but that'd be a tough sell. The only thing that would sell it, of course, is the fact that he's got a WBC belt that Jake Paul might want. But there's a big but with a capital B there, Big J. Jake Paul's got a fight this weekend against a guy by the name of Anthony Joshua. I don't think he's going anywhere. I must admit, though, I still have a very uneasy feeling about what's going to happen. I've got a feeling it's going to be a glorified sparring session, or maybe the upset. I would hope that, because no matter how you look at it, there's no way Jake Paul wins the fight. And if he does, something's going on. I would hope that Anthony Joshua would have too much respect for himself and the sport to do something a little bit untoward. But again, money does very strange things to people. But you still got to sleep at night. So I suppose the one thing, though, with Anthony Joshua, it's not like he needs the money. He's probably worth a couple of $100 million. So an extra 10 million or 20 million there, does it really matter? So I'm hoping by rights, as it should be, he goes out on, Saturday our time, I think it is, and absolutely wipes Jake Paul out. But even with that belt, Big J, it's an easier route, isn't it, for Jake Paul if he does happen to score a fight at some stage. But geez, if he loses to Joshua this week, well, obviously he's out of a chance of running for a world title shot, isn't he? At least for another couple of years, but we'll see. Where are we? I think we're back on track. Where are we? Sorry, guys. I'm just... there you go. Adam, good evening to you too, mate. Yep, no, I really appreciate that, mate. Really appreciate that you love the work. Just doing my thing, mate. Eminem, Pacheco called for Munguia next. I forgot about Munguia. Munguia would give him a boxing lesson. Yep, I agree, Eminem. I think if they did fight... Now, maybe Pacheco couldn't possibly be as bad as he was yesterday, but I think Munguia would win that fight. I don't see him beating, well, obviously not Crawford or Canelo. I don't see him beating Shiraz. I don't see him beating, who else is there? Plants. Yeah, it'd be probably a chance to beat Plant. He looked pretty washed, didn't he? Who else is there? Lester Martinez, I think, would beat him. I think and Billy would beat him. And that's probably about it, I would think. Belunga. Even Belunga, you'd probably have to give him a shot. That'd be a pretty good fight, actually. The all Puerto Rican fight. Pacheco and Belunga. Maybe they could get it on. But Munguia is too good for him, Eminem. I agree. Richard, how are you there, Richard? Mazzudia versus Molinaro will be a cracking fight. Yeah, that's the thing, Richard. I did say, was it yesterday or the day before, looking forward to Sam Goodman fight with Blizzard. I think Sam Goodman wins that fight, but I think it's sort of gone under the radar a little bit. But this is probably even more under the radar. It's barely been mentioned, Mazzudia and Molinaro. He's only had a handful of fights, I think, Richard. I'll just quickly bring up that card. We'll just have a quick look as we're going there. Just take a little while to load. Oh no, there it is. Oh, Box Rec got to pick up their act here. They've still got Tim as the soul taker. So someone from Team Zoo better let Box Rec know that he's new. You can't call him soul taker anymore. It is the Phoenix. I thought you've got to rise from the ashes to be called the Phoenix, not call yourself the Phoenix before the rise begins. Anyway, I'm being picky. All right, yeah, Carl Mazzudia, 14-4-1. Dominic Molinaro, 5-0. And I think Molinaro, yes, he is. He's another Suki Victorian. Big J, Dominic Molinaro, 5-0, 2 knockouts. Yeah, looks the goods, does Molinaro, but Cole Mazzudia is a very, very tough guy and won't be easy. Should be a cracker fight, I agree. Tony, I'd love to see Shannon fight Sky, yeah. I don't know if that's even possible, but I'd love to see Shannon take a big W. Well, if you ask Shannon, Tony, she'd fight her this weekend. No problems. The problem is, though, Sky. Look, I don't begrudge her, by the way. Shannon's not really high on the ratings at the moment, so it's probably a high risk for low reward fight for Sky. I get that. She's got those big fights coming up. But, geez, if they're serious about putting on some fights next year with Matchroom and whoever else, especially the 5x5, geez, that fight just makes sense, doesn't it? If you're going to have a fight, I went through my fights the other day, some possibles, and Shannon versus Sky was the female fight on the card. I think it would be fantastic. No Limit has Shannon, and Matchroom has Sky. It just makes all the sense in the world. All the other fights had there, Paro and Cambosis, Tim and Conor Ben. And I think I had Connor Wallace, Paulo Acuso. I think I might have called him Austin a couple of times, but it's Paulo Acuso and Connor Wallace. And I don't know who else. I can't remember who I had. But anyway, it was Liam Wilson and the Russian was the other guy I had there. Would have been a good fight. All right. I think Shannon would give her a good fight too, by the way, Tony. I know they used to do some rounds together, and Shannon did quite well. I know it's only sparring. Don't get excited, but I think it would be an excellent fight. Glenn, Tim's interviews are so cringe. Johnny Lewis is spot on, and I wish Jeff Fennick would just keep it quiet. Well, I did say before, Glenn, I'm not quite sure you would almost make a statement to say you've got nothing to do with Tim's camp. Well, and then on the flip side, say that his camp's been shit when you've only seen a few things on social media. But, well, yeah, it's Jeff Fennick, Glenn. It's not entirely his fault, by the way, because Jeff's Jeff. You ask him a question or whatever, or you ask him to be on a show, he'll be there. He's been on this show 3 or 4 times, not for a long time, but he's been on, I think, 3 times or something like that. He goes on whatever. You ask him, and that's what's great about it too, by the way. He'll say, yep, send me the link and I'll come on. So at the moment, with what's going on this week, he'd have all the podcasters and YouTubers and obviously the mainstream news channels and main event and all those types of guys all after him for interviews, and he just can't say no. And he just tells it the way it is. So he's very quotable, is Jeff Fennick. So don't put it all on Jeff. He just gets asked. I know he could probably say no comment. When have you ever heard Jeff Fennick say no comment? So I've got no dramas with it. All right, 8-0. No Limit does have a cracking card this Wednesday night, it must be said. Yeah, well, to go through the whole card again. So Tim Zhu and Anthony Velasquez is the main event. Tim 25-3. Velasquez 18-0-1. Sam Goodman 20-1 against Tyler Blizzard 10-0. Excuse me, 10-0. Have a drink here. Yeah, as I said before, Colin Mazzudia 14-4-1. Dominic Molinaro 5-0. This will be, well, I was going to say a good fight. At least it should be semi-competitive. Callum Peters 4-0 up against Cody Beacon, who's 8-2. That's for the Australian middleweight title. The Mazzudia and Molinaro fight, by the way, is for the Australian 154-pound title, super welterweight. Another one hasn't got a lot of attention. Ahmed Redder. He's up against Wayne Telepe. Redder 7-0. Telepe's 3-1. That's for the Australian super lightweight title. So Paulo Akuso on that card against Shukarat Abdullayev. Both undefeated. Akuso 8-0. Abdullayev is 5-0. Isaiah Seti 4-3-1 against Kaya Sparks, who's 3-0. And Jason Fawcett 11-2 against Marco Romeo, who's 8-0. So some really good fights there, guys. And for the sake of, was it $60? I think it is. Support the card. Should be a really, really good card. All right. Glenn. Saw Cody Beacon at the gym tonight. Okay, yep. Great young man and a big underdog against Peters, but he was confident. Good stuff. Well, he hasn't got a bad record, Glenn. What is he, 8-2? The two losses were against Joel Pavlidis, who's not a bad sort of fighter. Who was the other one against? Mason Smith. Okay, that was at 160. Okay. Who else is he? He beat Lockie Higgins. He's beaten Ryan Mitchum. Tough ask, Glenn. You would expect Callum Peters to win that fight comfortably, but yeah, Callum Peters not without a shot. Ryan, do you think Gassiev can do some damage at heavyweight? It depends who he's matched against, Ryan. Good win, was it over the weekend or a couple of days ago, whatever it was, that one-punch knockout? Yeah, maybe, but again, it depends on who he fights. I couldn't see him really troubling the real top liners, but maybe those sort of 5 to 10, you never know. Could be maybe an opponent for Justice Hooney down the track. Shadow Boxer. Oh, no worries, mate. We appreciate doing this. Makes Mondays tolerable for me. No worries at all, mate. It's a good way to start the week, isn't it? Go over all the weekend's action. Looking forward to this week. It's going to be a big week, and I mean, obviously Tim Tszyu is going to be fantastic, but I don't know about you guys. I'm looking forward to the Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua show as well. I mean, it's free on Netflix. I know technically you pay your subscription, but it is free. Really strong undercard with the girls. Obviously, Shanika Johnson's fighting for the Aussies. Really great time of year, and it's actually what's been good in the last few years is that we've had, especially with the Riyadh season events, a lot of shows at the end of the year. I did see the other day, or yesterday it was, Frank Smith from Matchroom says, what are we, mid-December? He's still got 3 shows to go. I think one in Ghana, one in England, I think. He's just coming from America, by the way. So America, England, Accra's in Ghana, isn't it? Yeah. And one in Riyadh. So he's got 3 more shows. So it would be 4 shows in 4 different countries in the last 2 weeks of the year. So that's what I love about this time of year. And I really like that boxing has taken a leaf a little bit out of the book of American sports with football and basketball and all those sports where they put the games on Christmas and Thanksgiving over there and Easter and all that sort of. I know we do a little bit of Aussie rules here, and I'm not sure about rugby league, but they have the Good Friday game now and the Anzac Day games and that sort of stuff. I really like it when there's public holidays that they put sport on, and I like the fact that around Christmas and New Year they've got some fight shows happening. So fantastic. Eminem still patiently waiting. Oh, that's still with capital letters. Geez, still patiently waiting for Cooper and Shannon. All right, okay. The only thing I can tell you, Eminem, I had a conversation with Shannon late last week. Okay, she gave me a call to give me some updates. What can I say? He's actually back home in Australia at the moment, by the way. He's part of his visa. He hasn't got a proper visa at the moment. He's just going on the tourist visa. So he had to come home. I think it's 3 months. You got to come out of Australia. So I thought with Christmas coming up, he'll come home. They found him accommodation and all that over there. He's got his own place now, or actually, I think he's been living with the friend of the trainer, and I think he's getting his own place in the new year. He is in with potentially some big players, Eminem. Some big managers, promoters in the wings. I can't mention them, but some of the bigger promoters are having a good look at Cooper, very interested in him. Helps that his trainer, Eric over there, has got some very, very good contacts. So there is, for what she said, at least sort of 3 different promotional firms looking at signing him up. Whether that happens or not, we'll see. But very keen on him. And as for Shannon, she has got a fight. I'm not going to say who or where or when or whatever, but she has got a fight against a familiar name early in the new year. Shannon has, and then she would love, as I said before, to get her hands on someone like Sky Nicholson, which I don't think is going to happen for now. But she's back with Luke Meldon at the Fortitude Boxing Gym, M&M, and feeling very happy up there. And I think she was at her best when she was with Fortitude. I know she went down to the boxing shop with Gareth Williams. He's a great guy, by the way. Does a really good job. But the chemistry between Shannon and Luke was very, very good, and I think it's good on her a good choice by her. She hasn't got long left. She's 42 or something now. Let's be realistic about it. But I think she's been at her best with Luke, and she's going to make it all count. So February M&M, she'll be fighting again, and Cooper. Just stand by any old day. They'll be able to announce his signing with one of the bigger promoters out there, and on a fight card soon in the States. So keep a lookout for that. I wish I could say more, but that's the best I can do. The fight promotion that they're actually looking for him to get on, pretty big one, and he'll be on could potentially be a massive, massive show. That's you just got to work your way back. There's a couple of massive shows already booked for 2026. He could be on one of those massive shows in the States. So that's as much as I can say. I hope I haven't said too much. All right. Cal, why do we need rematches? Should the first fight matter? Yeah, I'm with you there, Cal. I'm assuming you're talking about the Michelasian and Badu Jack fight. As I said, mate, it was mandated by the WBC. Not much Badu Jack could do about it, or the promoters or managers or whatever it might be. That's all. But I'm with you. We didn't need that rematch, that's for sure. What's that? Kane Mac. G'day, Lyndon. Haven't commented much lately, but always enjoy the content. No worries, Kane. Really appreciate you tuning in, mate. Oh, no. Kay Scott is another OnlyFans girly for you, Big J. We know you love that. Ooh, actually, did you have a comment earlier, Big J? I might have went past it, I think. Or did I? Oh, yeah, I did. Okay. Sorry, I missed that one, Big J. Unfortunately, since both Desley and Kay both do OnlyFans, I'm not really interested in that. It'll be a pillow fight anyway. Why do these women lose themselves to this smut? Absolutely terrible. Yeah, look, it's a tough one, Big J. I agree. I don't like to see the boxers do it, but also understand that they can make a lot of money out of it. They don't get paid that well in boxing. Do I like it? No. Do I understand why they do it? Yes, I understand. I didn't like, if I'm being honest, I didn't like Desley doing it. I saw one of her videos on some social media site she put up. Desley's got class. She's got class. And what I like about it, she's a bit rough around the edges, but she's just the typical Aussie, girl or woman that's done it the hard way. And I've got a lot of admiration for her. I didn't like to see it, but again, I know why she does it. Doesn't mean I've got to like it, but I understand why she does it. I haven't seen anything from Kay, but they're making money. Well, good on them, I suppose. I don't have to watch it. I don't watch it. I don't subscribe to any of that sort of stuff. But if it's a private thing, I don't really see the sense in the harm of it. But yeah, it doesn't mean I've got to like it. I'm like you, Big J. I'm definitely old school, mate. That's for sure. All right, now I've got to go back to where I was. Oh, yeah, Eminem. Yeah, K. Scott. Yeah, you're talking about that. All right, J. Beebs. Hang on, there it is. I'm going to the fights this Wednesday. Admittedly, I don't follow the domestic scene as much as I do the world level. Which fights are the guaranteed bangers? Someone's probably already commented there, mate. But I would say, apart from the main fight, don't expect fireworks from Goodman and Blizzard. That'll just be a really good technical fight. Blizzard will probably try and push the action, but Goodman will get on his bike and try and box him. That's why I think he'll outbox Tyler Blizzard. I think Peters is well prepared as he seems. I think whoever said before, Glenn, said that he saw Cody Beacon. I still think Callum Peters wins that fight by stoppage. Mazudia and Molinaro will be a do not miss fight. J. Beebs, and also I reckon Asaya Seti and Kaya Sparks, even though it's only a 4-rounder, will be plenty of fireworks, and maybe the Redder and Talapo fight will be a good fight as well. Have fun though, J Beebs. Good night. No Limit do put on a really good event. They really do. So I'm sure you'll like that. All right, Drew. It's 100% last chance saloon for Tim at 31. He has no more tomorrows on the title front if he gets beaten in his rebuilding journey. He can still fight in the future, but it will be for storylines. Yep, as I said, mate, you'll be world level will be over. Look, he'll win this fight. Might be famous last words, but I'm really, really confident he'll win this fight pretty comfortably. Mike Altamura is a very, very good manager, and he's probably an even better matchmaker. He knows the type of fighter that Tim Tszyu needs. This guy is custom made. Mike Altamura, one of the best in the business in all different facets. So I won't say take it to the bank, but I would be staggered if Velasquez is in the fight against Tim Tszyu. He'll be tough. He'll have a go. But as I always say, there's levels. Now, I just don't see him with enough dimensions, I suppose. Enough, like he's slow, I know, and lots been made about his power. But you still got to be able to land the punches. And I suppose that's the big test for Tim, isn't it? Can he get back to his defensive best than what he was in probably the first half of his career? Probably after he beats, he had the success over, was it Harrison was probably the big one. And the Mexican guy fought, and Mendoza. It's probably after those fights where he started to get a bit careless. So let's hope he can go back to the earlier days. Like when he fought Jeff Horn, I thought that was a really calculated just beatdown of Jeff Horn. Now, Jeff Horn was probably custom made for him, but the way he fought Jeff in that fight, barely got hit, barely got out of first gear, and his defense was sound and very, very good. So that's probably the only chance that Velasquez has, but of nailing Tim. So I think Tim's going to win pretty comfortably. I'll probably expect him to stop him in 6 or 7 rounds. That's my tip anyway. All right, Big J. I don't know. I don't think that Jai gets the unification fight. I said about, sorry, I think I went through that already. A bit the promoter being Don King. What's that, Tara? Yeah, I think this is about Andy with, still remember the days when it was pretty much you, Jack Dilks, and I in the chat. Your support for this channel is very much appreciated. Yeah, it is correct there that when I first started the channel, it was just me and about 5 people. And I was just pretty much reading off the internet, what was happening in the news, going through all the fight cards and ratings and all that sort of stuff, whatever I could possibly find. And we had a grainy camera and no microphone, and it was pretty hard in the early days. But it's great to have. What do we got at the moment? Nearly 60 people watching, so fantastic. Really appreciate it. All right, Glenn says that's a big no from me for Fennick to be Tim's trainer. Great fighter, trainer. No, yeah, I knew that comment was coming from somebody. Wonder what odds I would have got. It would have been from you, Glenn. Well, that's fine, mate. No, that's cool. That's your opinion. That's fine. Oh, okay. Wikipedia says it's Norare and Ross. Ross Levitt was an original too. Is it an OG? Is that what they call him, Ross, for the channel? It's Norare, better known as Noel. Or is it Noel? Whatever. Oh, there you go. I did pronounce it right. Thurko says Noel Michaelian, pronounced like the Christmas Carol. Noel. Okay. Noel Michaelian. We'll call him Noel. Okay. All right, Drew. 27 years of age. Nikita still has some time on his hands and still needs plenty of improvement to compete with legitimate champions. Do you think 2 years from now Nikita will fight for a title? Ooh, that's a really good question, Drew. I'll give you the honest answer, not the politically correct answer. The answer is no. I don't think so. I love what Nikita brings to the sport, and he's super talented, super talented. He really is. He can fight, tough, great skills. There's just a couple of intangibles that are missing for me. You're right, he has got time to improve. The things I'm worried about, and it's the only reason I give Michael Zarafa a chance against him, as we all seen, he can get loose. During fights, he can get extremely loose and careless. where it all goes out the window. He either gets fatigued, or he gets hurt, or he gets challenged, or he gets nailed, and it's like, right, let's go. And that's when he's vulnerable. And that's why you've got to give Michael Zarafa a chance of not only beating Nikita, but maybe even knocking him out. Michael is a very, very good finisher, as we all know. If Nikita can tidy up those little flaws that he has about losing his composure and just getting sucked into the other opponent's game plan or whatever it might be, or just getting dragged into a firefight when he doesn't need to, it's possible. But it's very hard, even at 27 years of age, to change the way your instincts sort of react to when that happens. And, I mean, there's been countless times where I've seen Nikita, like you guys have, I'm sure, get rocked or he's tired or whatever, and you're saying, Nikita, for Christ's sake, will you at least hold this guy, clinch, move? But he just stands there and just trades punches, and he's being caught and hurt and dropped by some pretty inferior guys. I mean, with all due respect to the Jack Brubakers and the Danilo Creates and the Cole Mazzudias, those types of guys aren't world level, nowhere near it. So, and Ben Horn's another one, Ben Horn's got probably a 50-50 record. Tough guy, love the way he goes about it, love his attitude, but he's nowhere near the league of Nikita Tszyu. And look, I know that was early in his career, by the way, as well. But if he can change that and improve that, then maybe. But if I had to choose one way or the other, Drew, I'm saying no. I just don't think he's equipped to succeed at world level. Just my opinion. I hope I'm wrong, because I've got a lot of time for Nikita. Quirky and all the rest of it, but all that aside, he can fight. He's got super talent. I think he still beats Michael Zarafa, by the way, but that's my only worry, is that if he gets careless, Michael can nail him, hurt him. Put your glasses down if that's the case. All right, Shadow Boxer. When it comes to Tim versus Zarafa, geez, I must be way behind here. I think the only way it can be done is the whole revenge for his little brother storyline. Yeah, well, we've got no choice, have we, Shadow Boxer? That will be the storyline. Unless, look, if Nikita happens to beat Michael Zarafa, well, that's it. Chapter closed. I've got a feeling, though, that Zarafa still would push Tim for a fight. He wants to fight Tim as well, but I don't think, no matter what stage Tim was at, if Nikita can knock off Michael Zarafa, you would think that Tim would say, well, I'm not going to pick up the scraps of my little brother. It's just not going to happen. And the Australian public wouldn't buy it either. I wouldn't have thought. I think they're going to barely struggle to pay for this one coming up, if I'm being honest. I reckon Nikita and Zarafa are still going to be a harder sell. I know they've got it marketed as Tszyu versus Zarafa. I think if they sort of put in there like Nikita Tszyu versus Zarafa, it might be a little bit different. But they'll still do massive numbers. I just don't think it's going to be anywhere near as big as obviously what Tim and Zarafa might be. But you never know. Richard, what are your thoughts on Frank Smith? Yeah, it's a good question, Richard. I've actually met him, strangely enough, in the MGM food court. I was there one day, and actually was around the corner from the food court. If you've ever been to the MGM, I'm sure some of you out there have. You got the main food court, then you walk around the corner. There's a nice little corner that sort of gets missed, but you got to walk past it to go to the Grand Garden, the arena, and there's a crepe joint on the corner. I go there every time I go there. The best crepes you could ever eat, by the way. And there's another, there's a bar, and there's something, a milkshake thing or something there as well. But I always get my crepes. And I was there one day getting my crepes, and beside me was Frank Smith. And I got introduced to him, I think it was when I was there with Tassie Brown, and we were talking amongst a group, and I got introduced to him. Just a quick g'day, shook his hand, whatever. And then we ended up beside each other in the line at this crepe joint, and we got talking there, and he was a really, really nice guy, and we're talking about Australia, England, all that sort of stuff, the boxing background, all that sort of stuff. He was a really good guy. But my thoughts on him as what is he anyway? Is he just an offsider or a gopher for Eddie Hearn? I'm not sure. I don't really know his role, and I've watched the documentary with Matchroom. Good operator. I suppose my thoughts on him, Richard, I don't know what goes on behind the scenes with him, but the only comment I would probably make is that Eddie Hearn thinks a lot of him, puts a lot of responsibility onto him. You see, especially in the documentary, you see Eddie Hearn bouncing a lot of things off Frank Smith, so he obviously trusts his opinion. So obviously he's good in certain areas, Richard, and Eddie trusts him. So my thoughts on him are, as a person, great guy. and as an operator in the boxing game, must know his stuff, because Eddie Hearn wouldn't have him on board if that wasn't the case. So, what do we got there? 8-0. Fennick coming out to say he wasn't impressed with Tim's training under Diaz, with no defensive adjustments being made, etc. Sounds wild. Also said he won't be at the fight. Yeah, I did see that, 8-0. Jeff said he's just going to sit at home and watch it with a bottle of wine or something and a bit of dinner. Is that his way of saying, I haven't been included so you can get stuffed? Is that Jeff, little sort of whack at Team Zoo, saying, well, you haven't asked for my help or asked for my opinion, so I'm going to sit at home and sulk? I don't know, but I'm not sure. But yeah, look, as I said before, 8-0, Jeff's saying he's not impressed with Tim's training with the pads. Look, you got to give it the attention it deserves. It's Jeff Fennick saying it. My thing would be, and I think Jeff might have even mentioned this, that it could be a case of, when the cameras are out, let's do the whole Floyd Mayweather thing and just go through the motions and tap, 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 and box some shots and do this and do that. Then behind closed doors, we do the real work. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't want to give too much away to his opponent and what he's been working on, or whatever. Or maybe it's just a thing with Pedro Diaz that he says to his fighters, all right, well, we keep all this good stuff in-house, and this is what we do out there in the public. Let's do a little routine, whatever. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. But if Jeff is correct in what he's saying, then what are we going to see on Wednesday night? Jason, it's a shame the press conference didn't happen today, but I think it worked in Tim's favour. Yeah, at least he can't say anything else, Jason, that's controversial and gets us all talking about it. Maybe it was just a good thing to say, well, maybe I've said enough. Maybe I'll just zip it. All right, Thurko. Can only hope Jai ends up with an early Christmas present for next year with an agreed title fight. Unless Turkey throws in some big bucks, I reckon they'll all still duck Jai for 2026. Hopefully I'm wrong. Oh, geez. I'm going to keep the faith, I should say, to Thurko. I'm thinking that Michelanian will agree to fight Jai. That's what I think. Yep, I think it's the next biggest fight out there. I don't think Michelanian would fear Jai. I know we all see Jai a little bit like we saw Tim. We put him on a pedestal. I don't think he's seen in that light overseas. And if he's taking on the likes of Badu Jack, I really don't think he would see Jai as any different to taking on him. Now, I know we see Jai differently and everything else, but I just think sometimes we think the killer. Well, Jai is a killer, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's as much of a killer as maybe we think he is, and that's that perception overseas. Because when Michelanian was asked about, I feel like I'm saying Nickelodeon. Michelanian, when he was asked about it, I said, yeah, no drama, yep, sign it up, let's go. So I think the fact that he's fought Badu Jack, he would have no qualms about fighting Jai. It's just got to make sense financially and everything else. And unfortunately, he doesn't get to make the decision. His team will make the decision. Just like Mick Francis will sit down with those guys and say, hey, come on, guys. There's no one else really to fight in the division. What are we doing? Let's do this. I think if I was Mick, if he had to convince the other side, if I was Mick, I'd say, hey, look at it for what it is, guys. Yes, this is a risky fight. But think of the bright side. You're going to have a shot at not only the IBF belt, but the ring belt. Then if you win that, the odds are that you'll fight in a massive, big money fight against either Benavides or Bivol. Not Bivol, I keep saying Bivol. Ramirez at the end of 2026. Because who knows, we said it before, with Benavides, if Michelanian was or happened to beat Jai, you would think that Benavides would go, yeah, I can beat this guy. I might just hang around and unify the belts and then go back down or stay where I am. I think, though, if Jai beats Michelanian, which he should, I've got a feeling that Benavides might go, yeah, maybe I'll go down and pick on the smaller guys. Who knows? Shadowboxer, what are your thoughts on Tapu Opatai as a trainer? Besides having a naturally talented son, is he a good coach? Could Jai benefit from someone with more accolades? Who else does he train? All I can say is Shadowboxer, he's got a reputation of a very, very good trainer. More so in the amateurs, Tapu Opatai, but got so much respect in the boxing industry. I've never heard a bad word about him, not only as a person, but as a trainer. Yes, he's got a naturally talented son, but is he a good coach? Yes, from what I've heard. And from what I can see, I don't see a lot of faults in Jai Pattaya. Now, I know a little bit like Tim, we probably won't get a real indication of that until he's in there with a Benavides or a Ramirez, or maybe even a Michelandi, and I get that. But so far, I haven't seen any cracks in the defence or the footwork or the shots that he throws, always well prepared. So I think you got to give Tapu the benefit of the doubt. I agree that he hasn't got the accolades and probably the reputation or the whatever you might want to call it out there of what what was I say? Yeah, you know what I mean. The reputation amongst his peers out there of being a good trainer, and I get that, but he hasn't really put a foot wrong. Who else has he trained? He's got a couple of other fighters. Who was it? There's a couple I've seen on his social media. But got to remember also that he wasn't training Jai up until only a couple of fights ago, was he? So he went back to Tapu. I think they had a bit of a fallout there for a while, but now he's back with them. I think Jai looks a lot happier since he's been back with his dad. And I think the main flaw I can see in Jai at the moment is just his motivation. And you can't blame the guy. He's had 3 fights that really weren't meaning of really anything except for defending his belt. So he needs a big fight. So the proof will be down the track, I reckon, Shadow Boxer, is whether in a big fight, I know he's been in there with Breeders, but until he's in there with a Ramirez or a Benavides, I don't think we're going to really see what Jai Pattaya is made of and how good a trainer his dad is. So, but I can only go by what I've seen and what I've heard, Shadow Boxer, and all positive for Tapu. All right. Arda Beterbiev is 40 years of age. He claims Dimitri has declined the 3rd fight and chasing a possible money fight with Benavides. Where at age 40 does that leave Arta? In a very hard position, Tony. I don't think he's really got anything at the moment, if I'm being honest. I mean, Bivol, he could say, oh, well, yeah, it's okay. It's 1-1, but I won the last one, and I reckon I won the first one too. And I reckon Dimitri Bivol could almost live with that, especially, getting the last one. Beterbiev has got to play on the fact that it's 1-1. That's what he's got to play on. But I would think if Dimitri Bivol has other options out there, that being Benavides coming down or whatever, that would probably make more sense for him. But having said that, looking at the ratings, he's at light heavyweight. Who is there? I know you've got Conor Wallace, but he's really a nobody in the scheme of things. David Morrell is probably someone he could defend against, although he struggled against Iman Karayev, didn't he? Geez, who else is there? There's no one really else. Maybe Bawatsi. Geez, pretty slim pickings, isn't there? Outside of maybe David Morrell. That's probably it. So, yeah, I wouldn't put a line through the Beterbiev and Bivol fight, but by all accounts, Bivol's looking ahead. So who knows? Maybe he's looking to go to cruiserweight and he could fight Jai. I don't know. So many possibles out there, Tony. But at 40 years of age, doesn't look good for Arda Beterbiev, mate. What's that, Ado? How long you're going to be covering shifts at the pub? Yeah. Well, we lost our bar manager a couple of weeks ago, Ado, and my son's just got back from Japan. He's been on holidays. So there's sort of 2 staff members gone. But yeah, I'll be covering shifts whenever I need to, Ado, because I'm about to have my youngest son start working for us as well, which will be good. Oh, he does actually work at another one of our we've got 3 shops, so he's doing some hours at one, but now he's going to do some shifts at the pub, which will test him. But I don't mind it, Ado. I actually really enjoy it. And I think a business, especially a pub, functions better and goes better when the owner / publican is at the pub serving customers, not having. I don't drink beer and like that. I don't really drink at all, to be honest. Might have one a week or something like that. But customers want to come in a pub situation and have a beer with the publican. So I love being in there and having a chat and hearing what's going on and any concerns or issues or complaints they've got and positive stuff and how we can make it better. So I enjoy it. And then you got the bottle shop, because in our pub, you got the bottle shop and bar. It's not a big pub. So the same person does the bar and bottle shop. You got to go back and forth, which is exactly the same as the very first pub we ever had. Only a small bar, biggest sort of bottle shop. But no, I enjoyed it, especially over the holiday season. I will be working Christmas Day, which I don't mind. There'll be 3 of us in the bottle shop that day. I think we're one of only 2 or 3 bottle shops in the whole of Bendigo that's open. There's three out of, was there 100,000 people, 110,000 people in Bendigo, and there's going to be 3 bottle shops open, and we've got one of them. Last year was crazy, but we'd only been open 2 weeks when that happened. So this year I reckon will be nuts. So it'll be me and 2 others in the bottle shop that day. So Richard, Tim Sheff will be in his corner. Yes, he will apparently. Hearn says, what's with all the if Tim wins? Velasquez has 3 chances winning. Slim, Nil, and Buckley's. He's Joey Spencer, Mark 2. Yeah, I'm a little bit along the same lines, Hearns. I reckon he'll be a little bit more tougher and durable than Joey Spencer, though, Hearns. But as far as his actual ability goes, I don't think he'll be much more. And that's why I think his toughness will get him through to 6 or 7 rounds. But I still think Tim finishes it inside the distance. All right. What's your name? We'll call you Oscar. Hey, mate, we're going to be there live on Wednesday. Can't wait. I'm not going to lie. The coach chatting has got me a whole lot more invested in the fight. Should be a good performance from Tim nonetheless. Well, enjoy yourself, mate. As I said earlier, it's a great night at the fights. No limit. Do it very, very well. The atmosphere should be electric in there, mate, especially being in Sydney. He's got a big support base in Sydney, Tim Zoo. There'll be a lot of interested people like yourself. So, mate, you'll have a ball. Still with Oscar. Also, like the coach said, everyone is no one until they beat someone. He's saying all the right stuff. Yeah, he is. Yep. Be interesting to see how the big moment affects the kid. The best embrace it and thrive. Yeah, it's a good call there. I did see that comment, Oscar, and you're right. You're nobody until you beat somebody. Look, I applaud him for coming to Australia and having a go. I really do. And maybe he is as good as what his trainer's been saying, and maybe he upsets Tim. But as I said before, expect a good performance a tough performance out of Velasquez. My thing is that I don't think with so much riding on Tim's comeback that they would risk a hard, tough fight for him or an opponent that could really have a chance of beating him. Just my opinion. Things can happen on the night. I get that. But, geez, this is his last roll of the dice. Why would you risk it against a real classy opponent? And if he does beat Tim, there's probably 2 things there. One is that Tim's washed and is done and finished, basically. The other is that his team has hung him out to dry. Now, I don't think Mike Altamura is that type of guy. He very rarely do you see that happen to his fighters. He's certainly not going to let that happen to Tim Tszyu. So that's why I've got complete faith that Tim Tszyu wins the fight. But they've talked up a big game, haven't they? So we'll see. All right, JB's. When Canelo started talking English, he hit another level of stardom. It was genuine. Remember, payday. Yeah. Tim's trying way too hard, and maybe it was under the direction from the new team. Maybe they're trying to make him a little bit more controversial, but they just don't need to do it. Drew, if Fake Paul wins the circus fight this weekend, it is undoubtedly the biggest upset in boxing history. If Paul makes it to the 3rd round, it's a massive fail for AJ. I agree. And even though Anthony Joshua has seen better days and is coming off a knockout loss, I agree. It would probably almost be the biggest upset in boxing history or the biggest controversy in boxing history, I would think. Drew, I'm sorry, Big J, I love you. But with all due respect, Noel doesn't have the name recognition to sell a fight with Fake Paul. Yep, agreed. All right, Jason. It's good to see, by the way, Big J, you're getting some love there, mate. Drew loves you. There you go. It's going to be good to see Paulo Acuso, Callum Peters, and Sam Goodman all on the same night. I'm with you there, Jason. And look, it's easy to pick apart a fight card. We can go on about A sides and all this sort of stuff, and B sides and this and that, padded records. But I'm looking over the card. I think the whole card's pretty good. I think definitely Acuso, Peters, and Goodman are all definitely the favourites, but they're not just gimme fights like a lot of them have been in the past. Boxing Jones, O'Connell wouldn't touch Sky. Yeah, well, that's your opinion. That's fine. The thing is, though, Boxing Jones, and I get it, and you're right. If Shannon took centre ring and Sky got on a bike, it would be a really tough night for Shannon. But if Sky decides to stand centre ring and have a go, that would be Shannon's best bet. I'm not saying Shannon wins the fight, but I'm just saying it would be a good fight. What do we got there? Trent Lata. How are you, Trent? Love the show and the Daily Stroll. No worries, mate. In your ashes of boxing, what about Wardley Honey too? Yes. Good call. So Honey is, well, he's more Tasman, isn't he? And Matchroom and Wardley's Frank Warren, isn't he? So the Ashes, yeah, it was a standalone event. Yep, maybe. Has Wardley improved since he fought Honey? I don't think he looked any better. I think actually he looked, well, actually, I'll take that back. He did look better against Parker. And of course, he knocked Parker or stopped Parker in the end, didn't he? But up until that point, I thought he looked pretty ordinary. But he did look better against Parker, even in the lead up to the stoppage than what he did against Justice. So I think I'd be extremely surprised if Wardley's team would put him back in the ring with Justice Honey yet until Justice is back, maybe as a mandatory. But that would definitely be a great fight, Trent. The other fight, if we're talking Ashes of boxing, maybe I'll do this in walking boxing tomorrow. The Ashes of boxing. So Wardley, Honey, definitely Tim and Connor Ben, definitely Warrington and Liam Wilson. Scotney and Sky Nicholson, probably the other one. I'll think of someone else anyway. But there's pretty much it was the Matchroom versus matchups, wasn't it? All right. Okay, you can disagree, mate. That's good. Hope everyone is well, says Tom's dad Naz. Have to agree with you for a rare time. Sam beats Blizzard easily. Blizzard lost to Cheng Yang clearly this time last year, in my opinion. I do agree with you, Naz. It's a good call that he was very lucky against Yang. I thought Chen Yang might have got the decision. Styles make fights, though, Naz. You got to remember, Chen Yang was a real aggressive type. He had really good skills, but he had a crack. Sam, I think, will be on the outside, just boxing Tyler Blizzard, which gives him an opportunity to maybe have some moments. But I did pick Sam to win, though, Naz. I did pick him to win. I just don't think it'll be an easy fight. That's all. Drew. Canelo has expressed an interest for a Crawford rematch. With all due respect, it feels like more like a business decision than and a cash grab than a legitimately competitive rematch. Yeah, I'm with you, Drew. I think he feels he probably has to fight Crawford, but he also probably feels like there's nothing else there for him. Or what is there for him? He could risk a fight with, well, I was going to say he could risk a fight with some of those other top guys, but they haven't got belts. And Shiraz and Mbili, I think they're fighting for the 168, aren't they? Yeah. Shiraz and Mbili are going to, well, they're talking Mbili and, Shiraz and Pacheco, whatever. But none of those guys have got belts. I'm surprised, by the way, that the WBC, who've still got Canelo Alvarez as the number one challenger, by the way. Why haven't they? Yeah, okay, I'm just looking at that. The belt was vacated. Why they didn't make Mbili fight Canelo for the belt? That makes sense. I was going to say he's got no options, but he could have fought Mbili. He could fight Shiraz. He could fight Pacheco. But yeah, why didn't maybe Canelo turn down the fight with Mbili to fight for the belt? Because that Mbili's the interim champion and Canelo's the number one challenger. So that should have been offered to Canelo. So I've got a feeling he's turned it down for this fight. But either way, look, at the stage of his career, Drew, it's the only fight that he probably feels he can win, even though I'm doubtful. It's probably the only fight he thinks he can have that's going to give him between $70 and $100 million. So you're right there. It's purely a business decision. I don't think in his own mind he probably thinks he can beat Crawford. But at the stage of his career that he's at, he has to do it. That's the only big fight that he's got and the biggest money fight. So it's probably a bit of everything in there, mate. So it's probably he wants the rematch to see whether he can beat Crawford, but also it's the only big money fight that he's got left. All right. I really hope, Tony says, I really hope AJ channels a great spirit of the mighty Jimmy Thunder this weekend. It'd be good, wouldn't it, Tony? I'd love it too, just to knock him out in a round. Drew says, I love Jeff Fennick's no-nonsense approach towards the media and YouTube interviewers. Sure, he's not everyone's cup of tea, but we get far too many soft and false narratives from the vanilla media. I'm with you, Drew. I love listening to Jeff Fennick. I love when they ask him some controversial questions because he just goes off with no filter. I love it. He did get himself in a little bit of trouble a couple of years ago. I think it was Ben Saba, who might have been on before the fight, wasn't it? And I think Jeff came back and said, mate, you don't know anything about boxing. And Ben, who's pretty clever with the comebacks, they had a bit of tit for tat, and Jeff went on the show. Probably the only bad move he's made. He went on the show and they went back and forth, and it was really a pointless exercise, I thought. And they both sort of looked like they were little kids, if I'm being honest, spoiled little kids. But that's probably the only time I've sort of said to Jeff, mate, get off, mate. Just get off. But apart from that, I always love his comments because he tells it the way it is and he knows what he's talking about. What does Oscar say? It's not hating if you're telling the truth. And that's what Jeff does. All right, Naz, great win by David Nyeka and John Manu. Actually, I forgot that John Manu was fighting. So obviously he's won. He's won. John Manu. Also good to see how easily Mitch Leake dealt with Ben Horn last week. Yeah, that was an easy win, wasn't it, Naz? He dropped him. Body shots, but still dropped him. So, So Alan Villanueva retired in the 8th round against John Manu. I don't really recognise any of the other fighters on that card, so I won't go through that. But yeah, good win from John. Good guy, good fighter, and hopefully he gets some more big fights going forward. Julian says Tim will KO Velasquez in the 6th round. Tim is super fit. Yep, I said 6 or 7. Not sure he KOs him, Julian. I'm going to go for a Joey Spencer type of stoppage, I reckon. Either the corner or a referee will step in and stop the fight. Velasquez is a pretty tough guy, so I think he might get stopped on his feet. All right, Drew, I never believed that Jeff Horn would have much longevity due to his raw face-first style. I have similar concerns with Nikita. Horn was more aggressive, but there are similarities. Yeah, I'm with you there, Drew. Nikita's got way more potential than Jeff. Don't need to worry there, says Glenn. Motorsport on holidays in remote Philippines. Have to watch on the phone with VPN. Go Tim. His latest interviews today make more sense. I think he got a little emotional the other day talking smack. Big fan of the show. Thanks, Motorsport. I appreciate it, mate, and have fun in the Philippines. Drew. Next thing you know, Christy Martin might do OnlyFans under the category of vintage. I'm just trying not to picture that in my head there, Drew. Thanks for doing that, mate. I won't sleep tonight now. Not a fan, but like you mentioned earlier, I understand the money hustle. Not many boxers make huge money. Not many female boxers, mate, that's for sure. Ryan, who's commentating Tim's fight this Wednesday and who is special comments? We as Aussies need to step that side of things up. A little cringe. I'm not sure. I'm assuming Pete Bedell will be on there, Ryan. I'm hoping they might maybe they'll get Michael Zarafa or maybe, I doubt they'll get Nikita there because he'll probably be in the change rooms of Tim. Michael Zarafa actually I think he's pretty good. I actually don't mind Michael Zarafa. It'd be interesting to get his side of things or point of view on this fight, but who else is there? I doubt they'd fly out of Sean Porter or one of those types of guys, but you never know. I suppose we'll know tomorrow. They'll have them all at ringside, but I don't know, mate. I wouldn't. I think they're improving. Still a little way to go, and I've had this conversation with Pete Bedell. I still think they need a boxing person on there, an Australian boxing person. Now I know Jeff Fennick again might not be everyone's cup of tea, which is why they've sidelined him. Not to mention he's had a lot to say about the Foxtel CEO, so I don't think we're going to be seeing Jeff Fennick on main event anytime soon. I really miss Barry Michael. I think he did a really good job. Danny Green would be really good. I know he did Stan the other night as well. Really enjoyed him. Jeff Horn is very good as well. I just think they need a boxing person. George Kambosos, I think would be okay. I think. I don't know, but they need a boxing expert on there for the comments. I love Jonathan Brown, but they don't need him. They've got the female host who does a great job. Peter Bedell is does a great job as far as being the newsbreaker and the media perspective. They've got the special comments. They need a boxing person on there. So that's all they're missing. But cringe, I wouldn't go that far, but they're getting better. I think they just need that Barry Michael type of or Jeff Fennick, Barry Michael, Jeff Fennick, Danny Green, Jeff Horn type of guy in there, and I think that would complement the panel very, very well. Here we go. Oh, for the love of God, says Big J. Everybody, please stop writing off Tim. I remind you that Sam Solomon won his first title at 39. If he stays focused and disciplined, he can achieve greatness. I get what you're saying there, Big J. Even though Sam was stopped by Anthony Mundine and dropped a couple of times, didn't cop the beatings that Tim has copped. I know he's 31. Sam was 39. Sam had a lot of experience at kickboxing. He hadn't had a lot of wars in the ring, is what I'm trying to say. So it was in great. I know Tim's in great condition as well, but Sam didn't have the miles on the clock, even at 39, that Tim has got. Like you might have a car. It might have done more Ks than another car, but the cars with less Ks has done off-road and drag racing and been all this. So the miles are on the clock, a lot of wear and tear, and that's what I see with Tim. You're right, Sam was 39. And I don't think anyone's writing off Tim, by the way. We're just saying if he loses, then I'll write him off. Because if he loses, Big J, even at 31 years of age, career over, mate. He's not coming back. He's not coming back. If he loses to Velasquez, he's not coming back. Not at world level. And I'll put the house on it. Sam Solomon was a bit different. He went from kickboxing to boxing, and he went to boxing late, by the way. Very, very late. And then made that late charge and got the fight in Germany. He was the right opponent at the right time in the right place, all that sort of stuff. And good on Sam Solomon. He won that belt. But as I said, Tim Tszyu, even at 31, has a lot more wear and tear and miles on the clock than Sam Solomon did when he won his title. That's the difference for me. Age hasn't really got anything to do with it. And as I said, no one's writing Tim off. I think everyone wants him to win. But I'll say again, if he loses on Wednesday night, his career at the top or in the big league is over. Exclamation mark. Done. Glenn, Ben Damon, I think, drinks at my local. Great bloke and a fellow greyhound owner. I didn't know that about Ben. Gets a bit of a rap, does Ben, Glenn. I've always got along really well with Ben. He's done a lot of my shows. I think he does a great job. Yeah, I'm with you. I think he does a great job as a host and special comments, all that sort of stuff. So I've got no drama with Ben. All right, okay. Drew's not from the same camp. Sorry, I've just spoke too soon. Can we please do better than Ben Damon, says Drew, with interviews or being an MC at big fights? I might be alone, but he's smug, manipulative, recycled, smart-ass questions, rub me the wrong way. Look, Drew, yeah, I will agree. I stand by what I just said, but what I will do, or what I will say, is that I do cringe a little sometimes with the questions that he asked. When he's doing the commentating and hosting and all that sort of stuff, I think he does a great job. I really do. But when he does the interviewing, they need a boxing person to ask the questions, because Ben's never been in the ring. He doesn't know. I don't think he knows the right questions to ask. He goes in there and he just rolls out the standard questions. How does it feel? What did you do differently? What's next? And they're just the basic questions. So that's probably the only fault of Ben that I would have. And it's not his fault. He's just not a knowledgeable boxing person. Well, knowledgeable to an effect, but not a Jeff Fennick or Barry Michael or Danny Green knowledgeable, if that makes sense. So maybe what Ben can do is maybe have a talk to the likes of Jeff and Barry and Danny and say, hey, mate, when you're in the ring, what is something you reckon the fans might want to know from the fight that I'm not asking? And it's not just Ben, by the way. A lot of these interviewers get in there. And especially some of the women they get in there. I'm not having a crack at the women in general, but again, the women aren't boxing people. So, hey, so you got to win. How's that feel? How do you reckon it feels? It feels good. What's next? I don't know. Whoever my management says. That's normally the responses you get. So I always sort of tune out when the interviews after the fight starts. I know exactly what they're going to ask. That's why I miss the likes of those guys like a Barry Michael or someone to get in there and ask them boxing questions. Exactly what were you doing when he did this in round 5? And in round 6, when he did this, did you have some issues or some thoughts? And I've seen in round 7 that you changed tact from this to that. What prompted that decision? And after round 9, your corner said this, but you did this. Just little things like that. That's what I would like to hear. Some more in-depth questions, not just, so how does it feel? Yeah, feels good. What else is he going to say? So anyway, that's what I would think. But it's not Ben's fault, as I said. As an MC and a host, I think he does a great job. All right, Big J. All right. Also, reference your idea last week to come on the show and let the people have the chance to take a swing at me. I welcome the challenge. How do we do this? By the way, I'm back in Queensland. You said that. It's a good question, Big J. You could probably do it on Instagram. That's probably another way to do it. You need a proper software program like this one. You can either get, this is Ecamm, but you can either get StreamYard is another one you can get. I think there's, what's the other one I used to have a long time, but this is called Ecamm. It's a lot better than those ones. You can do a lot more with it, with graphics and all the different things you can put on there. But yeah, even maybe do Instagram, Big J. That's probably the easiest, mate. Start the live, invite people in, and they can just hit enter, and you can press confirm, and they come in. You can have it out. Let us know when you do it. I'll tune in. What's that, Glenn? Okay. Glenn says he's happy to have a swing at Big Hate. Okay. I'll let you guys talk about it or duke it out about Big J. All right. Oh, there you go. I've got a backer here. I prefer Lynden with the mic asking the questions. Well, as I said, Ado, I would know what to ask. Because you've been there and done, well, not at their level, of course, but in the amateurs and stuff, at the Olympics and stuff. But I know it's different, but I just know different things with, and I don't want to do the job, by the way, but if it was someone was going to do it, that's what I want to hear as a boxing fan. I don't want to hear the general, how does it feel to win? And what's next for you? And geez, your family and friends must be happy, and you must be happy. Yeah, no shit. You've just skimmed the surface. And I know it's straight after the fight, so you've got to be careful sometimes. And a lot of times they don't really want to talk, but on other occasions, you've got a super excited winner, and they'll probably give you more than what they would normally give you, because when they're feeling good and the the testosterone is flying high and or pumping, and everyone's high fiving, that's when you're actually going to get some real honest answers. So, and even when the loser gets interviewed, be a bit bold and say, look, I did note that after round 4, your corner said you should be moving left. Why the hell were you moving right? I'm sure they're the questions they would like to ask. And your corner was telling you to use a jab, but I don't remember seeing many jabs thrown. Is there any reason you weren't listening to your corner? Little things like that. That's what I want to have answered. And it looked like he was fading in round 7. Is there any reason why you didn't put the pressure on and you let him off the hook? Whatever. But this whole, how does it feel to win? Blah. It's bland. All right. But yeah, Ada, I'm not sure I'd want that job. I know it's easy out here, by the way, to pot shot the ones that do it. I don't really want the job, but that's what I reckon they should have someone asking the questions. All right. Eminem, won't be a lull over this holiday period with boxing. There's actually a fair bit scheduled for January to talk about. There is, mate. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Richard, it's a shame he stuffed up, but Paul Kent was pretty good. I didn't mind Paul Kent. I didn't know who he was, by the way. Richard, I found out later he was a rugby league commentator. He was really good. I thought he actually, even though he was a rugby league guy, I thought he knew boxing, and that was great. And even someone like Jonathan Brown is good in a certain role. Or maybe it's a rugby league equivalent. Maybe they bring Paul Gallen in or someone like that. That's great, but you still need the knowledgeable boxing person so the boxing fans can relate. The casual fans out there, they love the Paul Gallens and Jonathan Browns and all the rest of it. And you got to have the guys like Peter Bedell there because they're the ones that have done the interviews and been watching him spar and all this sort of stuff. They sort of know what's going on. They've got the finger on the pulse of what's going on with the team. So you need those guys. And, of course, you need the host. And, again, whoever her name is, Megan Barnard, I think it is, does a great job. Doesn't try and be anything except what she's employed to do, to be the host and ask the obvious questions. And that's fine at certain times. But they just lack that boxing guy to slip in there who can delve a bit deeper. Oh, Jake Paul versus Charlie Curnow. Yeah, I'd love to get that going. For the first time, Dean, it's probably the only time I'd be barracking for Jake Paul in a fight, mate. What do we got there? Probably, what do we got? About 10 minutes to go. It's gone It's gone quick. Have to boot off crew. Been an emotional 24 hours for everyone. Hug your wife/husband. Tell your children you love them. The sun will rise tomorrow morning and it will shine, and all of us take care. Thanks very much, Tony. Very well said, mate. Have a good night. Can you bet on AJ versus Jake Paul? That's a very good question. I don't really bet on fights, mate, but you could probably check out Sportsbet or one of those. Asbot, with Pedro and Tim, do you think that Pedro would train him if Tim wasn't truly submitted to his leadership? Good question, Asbot. Do you think Pedro would train him? No. I think if Tim went in there and tried to dictate what was going to happen, I think someone like Pedro Diaz would say thanks, but no thanks. I think Tim wanted someone to say, well, I need you to get me a little bit more discipline and get him out of his comfort zone. So no, I don't think Pedro Diaz. It looks not like Pedro Diaz needs to train Tim Tszyu. I know here in Australia, Tim's a big fish, but over in America, he's a medium type of fish. Pedro Diaz has got a lot of fighters, does the national Olympic stuff and all that sort of stuff in the amateurs. So I don't think so. But I think it would have been the conversation. Pedro Diaz would have said, look, I'll do it, but these are the terms, and if I take you on, it's all my way or the highway. That's what I think would have happened. Glenn, I'd forgotten about the Phoenix Southern interview. I'm mates with Ben. Jeff made a total duck of himself. Yeah, it wasn't his finest moment, Glenn. And Ben, I hate to say it, if I had to score the fight or whatever it was, Ben won a unanimous decision as far as I'm concerned. And I think Jeff realised about halfway through the interview that he'd probably made a mistake going on there and arguing with Ben Sava. He didn't need to do it. Yeah, Asbot, Danny Green would be a great commentator. Yeah, he was really good on the stand commentary last weekend, Asbot. I think I said last week, I didn't really like the Cobber and the way he spoke, but that's Danny Green. Lads and Cobber and all the way he spoke to the commentators, but that's him. So I got no dramas with it. Knows his boxing. He can speak very, very well. Still got his faculties, which is good. I think he would be a real acquisition to Asbot. And the thing is, you remember he commentated the Manny Pacquiao Jeff Horn fights. I'm not quite sure what happened after that, but we haven't really seen him since, except on Stan. Polly the farmer, Foxtel would try harder to get Lance Franklin to do special comments before a boxing expert. Yes, I agree, Polly the farmer. And not sure if Peter Bedell was actually watching this. Sometimes he does. But Pete, get yourself a boxing person, mate. You need a boxing person. Because everything else you've got right. You tick, tick, tick. You just need the boxing expert. Yeah, this is a good one too. Jason or Andrew Maloney would be great to listen to. Yep, either of those guys would be fantastic as well. Not together. I think people forget they are separate human beings. It's like if you've got Jason, you've got to have Andrew. Or you got Andrew, you've got to have Jason. It's like they come as this combination. One or the other, fantastic. Good call, Lob 93. They would be good. They speak very, very well and they know what they're talking about. Mr. Gentleman, sir, Ben Damon is fine. Not an AFL or rugby league person. Oh, okay. He's been around long enough to respect the elders of boxing Australia. Yeah, I'm with you, mate. I'm with you. Barry Michael told me they wanted him out. They want the new school in nowadays. Well, you can't buy experience and knowledge, Mr. Gentleman. And I miss Barry. Great bloke and knows his boxing. This is the thing. I don't remember him saying anything controversial, I think. Is that true? They wanted him out. Yeah, well, if I had the first choice of anyone in Australia to put on in that role, it would be Barry Michael. So whoever's watching Foxtel, he's your man. Get him back. Oh, hang on. I've again spoken too soon. Sorry, but why the love for Barry Michael? He literally talks up the house fighter every time he's average at best. No, I disagree with that, mate. Lyndon, what's the name of the venue of this shop? Well, the bottle shop is called Top Dog Liquor, Mr. Gentleman. There's only 4 stores. I used to own another group or own a group that had a lot of stores in the group. Didn't own the stores that we owned the group, and there's about 30 or 40 stores that we had in it. I got out of that. The new one is called Top Dog Liquor. And the pub is the British and American. So there's 3 standalone Top Dog Liquors, Heathcote, Strathdale and White Hills. The Strathdale and White Hills ones are in Bendigo. Heathcote is by itself. The other one in Ironbark is on the side of the British and American Hotel. So if you're around those parts, call in and see us at Top Dog Liquor. As I said, there's only 4 of them, so If in the Bendigo or Heathcote area, call him. Yeah, Barry Malka, very knowledgeable, calls it how he sees it. That's a bit harsh, Big Bang. Calling Fennec a grub. Barry has a history of the sport written on the back of his hand. Respect that and his opinions. No respect for Paul Kent. Okay, shit can Mundine too much and too often. Okay, that's cool. It's Peter Bedell, actually, Mr. Gentleman. Where did he earn his street cred? Looks like a jockey. Yeah, look, what I was trying to say, Mr. Gentleman, is that there's a role on the panel for different types of people. Like I said before, you've got Megan Barnard, who's the host. You've got Peter Bedell as the newsbreaker, the media representative on there. And as I said, there's a place for him. But they just miss the in-between. Who's the other one? They've got sort of the comic relief in there, which is normally Brownie, but they need that boxing person. All right. Ross says Jake Paul, $7.25 to win. Draw 21. Joshua, $1.10. I'll be putting a bit of money on that draw, I reckon, at $21. What do we got there? Ryan, another great show, great audience. Go the Blues 2026. Thanks, mate. Go the Mighty Baggers for 2026. Drew, Dimitri Bivol was at longer odds to beat Canelo on points than Paul beating AJ. That day I put $100 on Bivol on points and walked away with $750. Not bad. Is that right? Bivol was at longer odds to beat Canelo than Paul beating AJ. That is nuts. Jason says Harry Garside is probably free. He's exactly who the media want. Woke/new school type. Well, it's not a bad theory there, James. Jason, I forgot about Harry. It's a wonder they don't get him in. That's right. Gentleman says, yes, Barry told me at the Tim Zoo seminar at the Olympic Hotel event he has been ill and they never invited him back. He did confirm they want the people who can expand the audience, AFL, etc. Yeah. Geez, well, that goes to show what they think of the boxing public then, doesn't it? When they go, oh, well, we don't really necessarily need a actual boxing expert. We just need someone that's going to get an AFL audience or a rugby league audience or a basketball audience, whatever it might be. So that's pretty shallow thinking on behalf of Foxtel, if that is true. If that is true. But, yeah, I would definitely think that Jonathan Brown would probably tick that box because he's very, very popular. If you're a rugby league guy, you're probably not too familiar with Jonathan Brown, but he's on all the football shows on Foxtel, Fox Footy, and very, very popular guy. Great bloke, and he's the lad's lad, is Jonathan Brown. So it probably makes sense, doesn't it? So maybe they'll alternate him with a Paul Gallen or someone. Although Paul Gallen's not very well liked, though, is he? So maybe they've got to get someone that is. I'm sure there's someone out there. All right, guys, we've got 3 minutes to go, and I think that's going to do it. I don't think we've got any more comments or questions coming through, so we'll call it a night. Make sure you watch every morning for walking boxing. Do it every day of the week. We'll see how we go over the Christmas New Year period, but I'll think of something. And we've got a couple of shows to end the year. We'll do the next week, which will be the 22nd, and then the 29th as well, because we've got lots of fights. We've got Tim and the Jake Paul fight to review, and then the Riyadh season Japanese card at the end of the year as well. So still plenty to go in 2026. So, guys, thanks for tuning in. Stay safe. Really hope you are all coping okay. And I'm sure, hopefully there'll be a solution down the track of what's happening at the moment, but not at the moment. But, really appreciate you all tuning in. And again, have a great week, and we'll catch you next week on Talking Boxing.